All right. All right. Welcome, everybody. I am Tara Truax. I am an Emerald Ambassador here at Q, and tonight's team call is going to be on, we're going to really actually dig in a little deep. I hope you all have pen and paper. If you don't have pen and paper, grab it now. You're going to want it. We're going to work through some of the roadblocks we have in our way, preventing us to getting to the next step and where we want to go, and looking at ourselves and looking at our leadership level, our leadership lid, and what we need to do in order to raise that leadership lid when it comes to our own, the way we see ourself in what we sell and who we are and how we're showing up as that. So we're going to really dig in here because, believe it or not, we are a direct reflection of our business, and we are a direct reflection of the growth we have in our business. So Caitlin said this is for me. It's not just for you, Caitlin, but this is going to be good because yes, I'm going to dig a little bit into this. You guys, if you guys don't have this book and you don't use this book often, I highly recommend getting it. It's John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There's a workbook that also goes with it. And if you really want to raise your leadership lid and show up as the leader you want to be, you will get this book and start working through it on your own for a lot of reasons. I've listened to it multiple times. I tag things, I write things, I use the book, the workbook as well. But all the laws go together. So one of the last laws in this book is the law of explosive growth. There's the law of, so people can have growth by attracting followers. But if you want to have explosive growth, like the type of growth some people on your team that you're seeing, right? Like what we're seeing on our team, you're going to attract leaders. So leaders will attract leaders to then lead. That's going to be very, very different. And what you attract is going to be based on the law of attraction. You will only attract you, period. So if you're not attracting what you want, we have to go back and look at ourselves. So when we look at growth for leadership, ultimately we have to look at growth in ourselves. What things are we preventing ourselves from showing up as? Some people are scared to make more money. And I'm going to tell you, for a very long time, though I wanted to make more money, I was scared of what that looked like, because when I looked at my family and my history of me and how I was raised and growing up, every time anybody ever had money in my family, it was taken away or lost. So for me, that was directly related to, no matter if I had it, I was going to lose it. So when I was in Nashville last week, we were talking to some of the leaders there, and I shared a story because of that. And because of when I was little and young, we went through a period of time where we had no food. We had no food in our house. And because of that, when I got a little bit older, when I would go to the store, I would stock up so much in fear that I wouldn't have it again. So because of that, I was spending unnecessary money that often would go bad because I was scared to ever go back to where I was. This can prevent us from ever showing up bigger than we want to. Before I got to where I am right now, the paycheck we just got, it's unfathomable. I would have never thought that in a million years. But the past 2 years, I've been working on my relationship with money. And I want all of you to write down right now on your paper, what is my relationship with money? Write that question down. What is my relationship with money? Number one. What does money mean? Number three. What does money mean to me? And number four, if money was infinite, what would I be/do? Now take a second without thinking. Okay, you wrote down the question. Now, I don't want you to think, and I don't want you to talk yourself out of an answer. You have literally 5 seconds. I want to write one word. The first word that pops in your head under each of those questions you just said. I wish I could repeat them, but I can't remember what I said. If someone does, you can type them in the comments, but quick answer, one word. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is going to help you get an insight into your relationship with money that could prevent you from showing up in your business how you want. If you don't believe you're worthy of your business, you won't hold your business. It'll crash. If you don't believe that you can sustain success, you won't hold it. You'll attract people that are not going to sustain success, and you will lose it. Okay, the comments are distracting me, so, oh good, someone's writing the questions. Good, thank you. All right, so what is your relationship with money? What does money mean? What does money mean to me? And if money were infinite, what would I be do? All right, 4 words, fill in those blanks. Now, that's one piece. For some of you, I know there are a few men on here right now, but there are a lot of women. For us as women, sometimes we get in an uncomfortable place with money that we have never made more money than our husband. This is not always the case, but this is a case that I deal with probably more than most of the time. This is a big one. So I see this a lot where women will get so successful to a point and they will stop their success right there because they cannot make more money than their husband because there's a dynamic there that is not looked at. One, there's therapy for that. I highly recommend going to therapy together. Or if you have a relationship, you can talk about that, talk about it together. What does that look like? Because sometimes what we believe is actually not the truth. So having a conversation on that will help you. Because never in my entire life have I not only made more money than my husband, but made in a year what we're making in a month. So we had to literally have a talk. What does this look like? And how does that match up with his dreams and what he wants to do? And thank goodness he has a lot of dreams and a lot of things he wants to do because it allows us to work together to create it. And there's not an issue of control or jealousy or though it's new ground for us to walk on, it's not uncomfortable. But you do have to have that conversation. So I want you to look at that because this happens a lot, okay? So it's a touchy subject. People don't like to talk about money, and they don't like to talk about money because of their old issues. They're holding on to it. And you guys, most of it stems from when we're very, very, very little. I hear it very common. Money is bad. People with money do bad things. I'm going to tell you right now, people are going to earn that money no matter what. No matter what, people will earn that money. It might as well be you. And you show up and do what you choose to do with in the highest service to the most people. Because no matter what, that money is going to get into somebody else's hands. I'm telling you, it should be yours so that you can go do whatever your heart's desire is with that, whether it's service or whatever it is. Now, this is where we're going to get into what your niche is, what you attract in, what you want to create. Okay? So, next question you're going to ask yourself. Number 1, what do you sell? So just write this question. You can write, what do you sell? You can write, what do I sell? It doesn't matter. Just write your question down. What do I sell? Number 2, who do you serve? If you feel more comfortable writing, who do I serve? That's fine. And the third, is your message clear? Or is my message clear? Now, if any of the answers to those 3 questions are unclear, then you have to look at your own life. Because the answers to those 3 questions are a direct reflection of you. When you talk about what do you sell, there will always be products. We have a phenomenal products that literally will sell themselves. What do you sell when it comes to the personal experience that people have when working with you? What do you sell that allows leaders to be attracted to you and want to work with you? What do you sell, as in what do you serve? What do you do? Okay? Because user experience is everything. People want to feel and experience what that relationship is. And it's not just, here's my website, go buy something. Because every single person on this call is selling the exact same thing. So if every person on this call is selling the exact same thing, why isn't every person on this call having the exact same success? I really want you guys to hone in on this, because if you do, you will have it. And for some of you, it might be really hard. For some of you, it's going to dig into when you're young. For some of you, you're going to get off this call and you're going to give me a big middle finger and hate me because you weren't comfortable there. That's okay. If I pushed you to the limit of discomfort, that means I pushed you to the limit that you needed to go past in order to get to the other side. Because anything now we're talking about is not comfortable. Because if it was comfortable, you'd already be there. Remember that. Hang on, my son just walked in. Buddy, you got to go talk to your daddy, okay? Daddy's downstairs. Go on. Honey, daddy's downstairs. I'm on a call right now. Please go downstairs. Daddy's down there. Okay. All right. So, hang on. I had lost train of thought. Okay. So, we want, no matter what, we want the support, the community, the relationships that we're building to be unique. And that has to be who we are and who we're showing up as in our life. So if we go to this law, which number is it? If we go to the law of magnetism, which is who you are is who you attract, it's law number 9. We are going to, like a magnet, draw in that is which we need, which we are, okay? So that's going to be, I want you right now to think of 3 leaders in this company. It does not have to be me, it can be. 3 leaders, and I want you to write down 3 qualities that you admire in those 3 leaders. Okay? 3 leaders, just do it really fast. First thing that pops in your head, 3 qualities that you admire in those 3 leaders. Oh, I don't know why. You know what, somebody, there we go. Make sure it's all muted. Now, it is absolutely humanly impossible to see a quality in somebody else that we do not own ourselves. Humanly impossible, good and bad. So if you see somebody and you say, oh, they're judgmental. If you see someone and say, oh, they're greedy, all that is reflecting that greed back in you. Because you wouldn't even know what greed is if at some point in your life you didn't experience it. Which means you wouldn't know what success is if at some point in your life you didn't experience it. Whether you saw it, you lived it, you had it, whatever it was. You have seen something or experienced something to allow you to identify that thing, or you wouldn't even recognize it. They've done studies on this. That's why they, like, if you're on an island alone and nobody's there, do you really exist? That type of thing. Because you actually have to experience something in order to know it's true. Now, when we move out of our comfort zone and we're on new ground, this is when people freak out and they want to go backwards to get to their comfort zone because that's all they've known before. And for a lot of you coming in new to this business, this is new ground and it's scary. Yet you see qualities and recognize things that remind you and make you feel comfortable. Yet the first time it gets hard, you want to go back to your comfort zone again. What we want to do is make our comfort zone a new place. So we're not always retreating back. That we get comfortable enough in the uncomfortable that we keep moving forward so that our next comfort zone is further ahead. So, what can you do right now to help own these qualities in yourself? This is what you can do. And whoever you live with, you can blame them. Tell them, Tara told me to do this, so she's crazy. Blame me. Take a sticky note. Or if you like to use dry erase markers on your mirror, that's fine. But take a sticky note and put it on your mirror in your bathroom. And you're going to write the qualities. So if you saw somebody, one of their qualities was they're motivated, then you're going to write on your sticky note on your mirror, I am motivated. If you saw that they were well-spoken, I am well-spoken. If you saw they're confident, I am confident. Whatever that is, you're going to write those all on your mirror, and you're going to look at them every single day, and you're going to look yourself in the eyes and say it, and you're not going to believe it. Because I talk to leaders every single day that will say to me, I see the people on stage, I see what you guys are doing, and I don't feel worthy of that. This goes back to your own self-worth, and the only way to break through that is to break through the limiting beliefs that you're not that. But I'm telling every single person on this call, you are that because you identified it. And by identifying it, you're one step moving in the right direction. Now, going back through limiting beliefs, that goes into to forgiveness. So now we get a little bit deeper here. You put those on your mirror, that's great. Now we're going to unwind how they got there. I forgive myself for judging myself as unworthy of fill in the blank. So all those things that you have identified yourself as not that, you're going to now forgive yourself for judging yourself, and you're going to do it every single day. And you guys, this process of self-forgiveness takes a really long time, but it works. I know because I've done it. I'm not teaching you guys anything I have not done. Nothing. I've done all of this and 1,000 things more. But this is so key because the judgments we hold on to will directly be the judgments that come from our team and that will cause the most issues. And as you grow up and as you grow a bigger team, you will have more issues. Don't think it doesn't get easier. Your team gets bigger, it gets harder. But how you manage it and how you handle those situations is going to be a direct reflection of what you reflect back. So if you can forgive yourself for those judgments, you won't be judging other people when they come to you, and it won't be a trigger. Does that make sense to you guys? Or is that like crazy? Because it's true. So again, I forgive myself for judging myself as unworthy of, you can fill in the blank, love, success, any word, whatever it is. I forgive myself for judging myself as, and you don't even have to have unworthy sometimes. You can just have unworthy. I forgive myself for judging myself as unworthy. That's fine too. But you want to repeat these so often. And you would laugh. My mirror looks different now. I have other things on my mirror, but for a very long time, they covered my mirror, okay? They will help you to start reflecting the things you want so that you know what you sell, who you serve, and what your message is. Because if you're trying to reach out to people and your message is not clear, people read through BS like it's going out of style, you guys. And nobody wants it. Nobody wants to be sold to. And the perfect example is every single day, people go to a car dealership to buy a car. And the first person that asks them if they want help, you say no. Well, you are not getting the keys to that car to test drive it without help. And you need a car. So you need help. You just don't want to be sold to. It's our natural instinct. But everybody wants to buy. I know I had to go to the mall today. Everybody wants to buy. The line for the new iPhone today was insane at the Apple store. Absolutely insane. Everybody wants to buy. But if somebody was out there selling iPhones down the street, handing them out, that people start to get suspicious. People want to know their motive. Remember that. So what is your message? Now, here's the thing. Here is how you're going to get your answer. Who are you? Write that down. Who am I? What problem did I overcome? Every single person, there's 97 of you on this call right now, has overcome a problem to get to where you are today. When you're creating posts on social media, you create a story. It's you overcoming a problem. It could be a small problem. My problem tonight, getting my kids' book report pumpkin thing made. We all come over a problem. Some of you came over a health journey. Some of you had health issues. Some of you had financial issues. Some of you had both, like we did. What is your problem? And what did you do to overcome it? See, now you're getting power because you've all done something. You're just not giving yourselves credit. Now, how did you do it? How many of you have children? How many women in here gave birth? How many women on this call didn't know how the heck they were going to get that baby out their very first time? And then they went ahead and did it again. A lot of us. How many dads on this call were so scared the first time they held their baby, they had no idea what they were going to do, yet they figured it out. We all have what we did to solve our problem. And the thing is, we all have problems every single day, and we overcome them, but you're not giving yourself credit for that. Now, if you can answer those questions, who you are, what problem you had, and how you got there, you now have your 1-minute message of how you're going to talk to people. And you're going to be very confident, you're going to be very authentic, and you just covered who you sell, what you serve, and the message is clear. So I hope you guys really, really, really take this to heart tonight, because this could drastically change the conversations you have with people, how you connect with people, and how you show up in your business. So real quick, I am going to open it up to questions, but I want to give you guys a list of podcasts. We already talked about the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. There's a lot of other books I work in that space as well. That one very much for leadership, because all the laws interconnect to each other. And right now, if one law isn't in place, the other laws don't work. And the very first law is the law of the lid. So if you're only recruiting people in that have a lid of 1, you're not going to be able to keep going, because you're down below. Okay? So you have to remember that. That's the cap of what we can bring in. And if you want to bring in leaders, you must raise your lid. And in order to raise your lid, that means you have to go through stuff and experience stuff and get in the trenches and do the hard work, which is going to be personal growth as well as working, reaching, talking to people, doing events, showing up where you don't want. Okay? All right. So podcasts that really are effective. Leaders are always going to be reading 2, 3, 4 books at a time. I read all 4 to 5 at a time. I have one in health and wellness. I'm always reading, developing that space. One in leadership, or like leadership type growth. One in personal health development, and one in family, something in the family. In the leadership, sometimes I swap that out for finances. So that's how it goes back and forth in that leadership business. So always, and depending on my mood, it's what I'm listening to. Right now in the spiritual personal space, I'm listening to the Gene Keys. I absolutely love it. It is an incredible book, but it's pretty deep. For some people, they would read that and be like, this is too much. But that's where I'm at. And the Gene Keys has been incredible because it talks to you about activating your DNA. So for people like me who are red-green, who like to know about that stuff, it's really cool. But for some people, they'd be like, you're nuts. So you have to find what's a good fit for you, okay? So podcasts, though, I'm always cycling through podcasts as well. So great podcasts that are really good for both business, personal development, and family development, all right, are going to be ones I listen to all the time. Tony Robbins' podcast, The Ed Mylett Show. Mylett is spelled Mylett. Rachel Hollis's Rise podcast. And her Rise Together podcast has actually been huge for me and my husband. Their journey through him leaving his job and working with her, and her now being that breadwinner and them creating a business together, has been very, 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 very helpful for my husband. So if you're working in that space, it could be helpful for them. Don't Keep Your Day Job. Great podcast. The Melissa Ambrianosi Show. This is really good for anybody that likes science. If you're really into health and wellness and you like science, the Melissa Ambrianosi Show is really good. Happier with Gretchen Rubin. The Brendan Show. That's Brendan Burchard. He wrote High Performance Habits. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal book. And the research on that book is fantastic. The Oprah Super Soul Conversations. Lewis Howes. Howes is spelled Howes. School of Greatness. Gary Vee. And if you're dealing with a lot of entitlement, start listening to Gary Vee, because it will really give you great perspective on dealing with people that feel that they are entitled. It is a huge part of why I follow him, as well as how he navigates and utilizes leverage and social media. Because there's balance to that. We must create and build via face-to-face. We must creating relationships with people. We must create people to feel valued. But you do have to leverage social media. You can't close it out of the game, because this is 2019. And this is where everything is moving. And this is where advertising happens. So you have to really utilize smartly how to leverage social media. And then Jenna Kutcher's podcast, Goal Digger, is fantastic. All right. So the last thing I want you to write down right now, because I really want you to go to bed and think about this tonight and make one change tomorrow. What will people say at your funeral? I want you to write that down. Because if you're not showing up right now in your life the way you want people to talk about you at your funeral, there's no other time to start changing that but right this minute. There is nothing stopping you from promoting multiple times right now, especially with the specials we have coming out next week, the new products. We have 12 products coming out just in the first quarter, from January to March. There is nothing stopping you from making $1 million next year but you. Absolutely 100% nothing. Because I've never ever made more than $45,000 in a year. You can do that too. You can do what we're doing too. There is nothing different. You just have to do the work, and it's hard, and you may cry, and you may have to let go of people. You may have to let go of old beliefs. See, letting go of the people is the part where most of you don't want to. But some of you have very toxic friends, and the law of the inner circle, I don't know, I just somehow grabbed my bills. That's not going to help. The law of the inner circle tells us that we are the representation of the people closest to us. Just because somebody's your family doesn't mean you have to spend all your time with them. You have to make choices based on how you want to show up and serve, to show up as the best version of yourself. And if there are people preventing you from doing that, you do have to be willing to set proper boundaries and able to do that. There's a great book called Boundaries. I do want to let you know it is religious. So if you have different religious beliefs, it is Christian, but it is phenomenal in setting those proper boundaries. Oh, Carissa, you are amazing. She's typed this all out for you guys. It's all in the comments if you haven't seen it. Oh, you guys are awesome. Okay. So I am going to open it up to questions. If anybody would like to ask questions and unmute themselves, please go ahead.
Who writes the book Boundaries?
What, Dee?
Who writes the book Boundaries?
I don't know. It's just called Boundaries.
Oh, okay.
I don't have the author's name written down, but if you just type in Boundaries, it comes up. It's a bestseller. And so here, somebody wrote that they're still in the middle of their stuff, but they're working through it. One thing, you guys, no matter where you are at any point in your life, we're always moving through a different season. And no matter what, because you're showing up here today, it means you've already moved through tons and tons and tons of seasons with success.
Because hey, Tara.
Yeah.
It's Vanessa. The author of Boundaries is Dr. Henry Cloud. I have it. So it's Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend.
And there is another book that they wrote called Boundaries and Leadership. Boundaries and Leadership, I believe. So everybody has to give themselves credit for where you are. Because there is nobody I've ever met that hasn't been through a whole lot. And it's all different. We all have different stories. But that's why I wanted you to go in and really know, who are you? What problem do you solve? And how did you get there? Because you all got here. And that makes you unique. So I'm trying to read some of the questions and cover them. Okay. Okay. Beth Ann asked a really good question. She said, how did you originally engage your husband and children into your personal development? Because we grow together. So here's what happened. And when Mike and I have had this conversation a lot, I have been in the personal development, personal growth space for a very, 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 very long time. I actually went to graduate school for spiritual psychology, which is a type of counseling psychology, like coaching psychology. And really dug in when I was like 24, 25, 26. And if I go back to my journals from that time, I knew a whole lot, but I didn't apply it all. I did for several years, and then I lost some of it, and I had to get back on track. And once I got back on track and I started really shedding my BS that I had buried myself in, I had to have a conversation with my husband that was hard. And the conversation was, I'm moving up and you have the option to come with me, or you have the option to go apart. That was the conversation. And he chose to come. And he started listening to the podcast. He started reading the books. He started doing the things because he didn't have the choice. And now my kids are in the car. They listen to all the stuff, and except the baby, she gets bored. She tells me to change it. But they know the stuff. They know a lot of the sayings. They know a lot of the stuff. Is it always easy with our closest relationships? It's the hardest. Our closest relationships are going to be the direct reflection of the stuff we still need to work on. And there's still a lot of things I need to work on because they're going to be our trigger points. But you have to continue to work, right? Because what's the other option? You don't have one. So it's either you're growing or you're declining. So what are you going to choose? I just make a new choice. And everyone's going to make mistakes. The biggest issue is you make a mistake and then you hold yourself in such judgment for that mistake instead of looking at it as, okay, this didn't work for me. What other choices do I have? What other options do I have? What can I choose next time? Instead of, I quit. I'm done. I'm horrible. Instead of going into judgment. Does that make sense? Oh, this is good. Okay, I have imposter syndrome. It's hard to say I've done the thing. I'm not quite sure what you're implying here, but if you want to unmute yourself, somebody. Okay. I'm not quite sure what you're implying here, but what I see a lot is people that do a lot of personal growth, listen to it. I shouldn't say do it, but they don't apply it. They listen to books, but they don't do it. They go to events, but they don't apply what they learned. And the reason is it's hard. It's really, really hard. And part of it means you are going to have to show up and identify the last 30, 40, 50, 60, depending on how old you are. I had a woman when I was in graduate school, she was 86. And she stood up in class and said, I spent 86 years of my life a certain way, and I'm done with it. And I may not have that much longer to live, but I'm making a new choice. You just have to be willing to let that go. A lot of people aren't. A lot of people are so committed to their story, they're not willing to let it go. You might be one of them. You might get off here and say, well, she's crazy. She's totally nuts. She has no idea what she's talking about. And maybe I don't. But I can show you my journey, and I can show you what we're creating, and I can show you that it works. How do you get out of the not applying it mindset? You just do it. You have to do it. You literally have to take action. And that action is going to be so uncomfortable because if it was comfortable, you would have already done it. We do the things that we're comfortable with. We always do. So you just have to go. And when you go, you're going to feel like you're going to throw up. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going to die. My team, my close friends will always tell you one of my favorite lines is asking, did you die? Because you're not going to. And then it's going to confirm that you're okay. And you're going to keep going one step at a time. And sometimes it's one step at a time to have very hard conversations with people. And sometimes that person's not going to like it. But you have to be so strong in your own intuition, in who you are, going back to who I am. What do you want to create here? How do you serve others? And is this serving who you are? Are you showing up as your best self to serve others, to show up as theirs? Every single day, I make a choice. If this thing, whatever it is, whatever I'm investing my time is not allowing me for my life's purpose to show up as the best version of me, to allow others to show up as the best version of them, if it does not fit in there, the answer is no. Every investment of my time, that is time away from my family. That is time away of me creating my dreams. So if it is not a hell yes, it's a hell no. So remember that. Don't say maybe. Maybe means you're really not invested in it. That means it's not a part of your dreams. It's part of not your goals. It's not part of who you are. So if it is not a hell yes, it's a hell no, and you're not going to do it. And you're going to only invest your time in that which helps serve others and your purpose, which you are working through tonight. Okay. All right, guys, so I think that's good. Unless anyone wants to unmute themselves and ask any other questions, highly recommend you guys get some of these books. Don't get them all. If you're going to get one, get here and start working through it. Everybody, no matter who you are, you lead. You lead a family, you lead a team, wherever you're at. What if you work an outside job, everything you do, you at least lead somebody because you lead yourself. And you can change who you lead yourself as by making different choices. But you're the only person that gets to do that. The only person at all. And if you do struggle, somebody says they struggle comparing yourself to others, you guys, the comparing yourself to anybody else is your thief of joy. Take that comparison, take whatever you see in that person, and you go write that on your mirror. You are that. I'm so excited you see that in what other people are doing, because that is you. Now show up and start working like they do. See, the only difference is you're working through your journey. You're working through your stuff. We don't all walk the same path. Your beginning is not somebody else's 10 years. Our success right now is not my success 10 months in queue. It is my 5 to 6 years before of this, of growth, big time in this space. And not to say it's going to take you 5 to 6 years, but if it did take you 5 to 6 years to make $50,000 in a year, would you do it? You would do it in any other job. You probably wouldn't make that much. So would you do it? That's not bad. 5 to 6 years of growing you to start making $750,000 a year, $1 million a year. Remember, what you can't ever compare yourself, because you never walked in anyone's shoes, ever. You're walking in yours, and you're meant to walk in yours, because that's how you were made. And you have your purpose, and you have your story, and you got to where you are for a reason, which is what you've been working on tonight. Okay? All right, you guys. All right, so we could talk about this forever. I am going to stop now, and I'll post this recording in Q Tribe. So I hope this helped you guys. I will talk to you guys later. Good night.